Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, greetings to all of you. With big honor and pleasure, I welcome all our hosts, guests, and viewers online on Decentralized TV channel. As a reminder, I am Sergey Sivansyan, mastermind of this think tank community, and we are ready to start today's DeFi talks. Now with us are Fernando Martinho, CEO of Nimbus platform, CEO of Nimbus project, Mru Patel, CEO of Sapient Group and COO of Flash Group. Mru, welcome. George Sebastião, CEO of DeFi, and me, your host. Of course, our guest today, Jabir Walji, friends of the George Sebastião, and now we can start it. If you don't mind, guys, host of today's event going to be Mru Patel, but because all of us are children of God, I will let to speak Fernando Martinho. We are ready, Nimbus. Just turn on your mic.
So I'm Fernando, like you said, CEO of Nimbus platform. Nimbus is a decentralized financial decentralization is what it is at the core of Nimbus. So I don't really like the word is DeFi really, but it's more focused on the real use cases of DeFi. Yeah. And this is, I think, one of the things that we're going to cover, and Mru often covers that, and George as well, and so do I. So I'm quite excited to be able to discuss really what is next for DeFi. Yeah.
Perfect. You know, guys, what I see, this DeFi market looks like in December somehow goes down, but now it's a rise like Bitcoin. And what we see, so many money comes to this market. Maybe new kind of businesses should appear, not only lending, not only staking, not only leveraging from one place to another. Money, Mru, what do you think about that? And I don't know, tip your topic in our discussion.
I think it'd be nicer if you bring Jabir in, because we don't know who Jabir is. We know who we all do. Let's hear from Jabir, and then, yeah, of course, we can get into that introduction. You know, like how Fernando said, I am. So let's hear from Jabir. Who are you?
Hi guys. Yeah, that's me.
The honor to the
George.
Boys.
Yeah. Friend of George. I met him in Dubai, but my main background is I'm a consultant in the field of systematic innovation, applying to strategy and foresight, forecasting disruption and all that with this new methodology, which came out from Russia, as you know, TRIZ. Sergey, you might know TRIZ, theory of inventive problem solving.
I know.
And, yes. I specialize in that, and on top of that, we have brought in the Western methodology into TRIZ, and the whole thing has become systematic innovation. And the reason I'm on this conference was I'm getting into DeFi and cryptos and all that. And George, thanks to George, he sent me the invitation. So I want to learn more about the thing. And one of the things I would say is, when you look at the trends in systematic innovation, this innovation of cryptocurrency and DeFi was inevitable. I mean, if you go to the history of money, how money started, and if you look at the history, eventually it was going to end up in crypto, and somebody had to invent that. So when I saw the link between the systematic innovation trend, and when I studied, the history of money, I went, wow, it's going to be interesting. So I have to jump in it. So that's the reason I'm here, to learn more from you guys as to what DeFi is happening, and move forward.
Okie dokie. Well, sorry to put you on the spot, Jabir.
No problem. That's fine. But at least you know my background and the context.
No, it's very important. Absolutely important. So we know where to plug. George, you want to say something before I jump into Sergey's opening statement of how to take this forward?
So I'll just
everyone knows you.
Okay, it's a pleasure to be here.
We all know you.
DeFi is definitely the topic of the day because although it's quite new, it is the new topic that has introduced the greatest amount of disruption and the highest amount of innovation in the blockchain space. Therefore, we need to pay serious attention to it. It's still young. Some elements of it still remain unregulated. However, the adoption level is there and much lower cost of transaction fees. However, the usability of DeFi still remains a bit of a challenge. So we need to address that somehow. Maru, it's all yours.
Great. Okay, so as Sergey said, Maru Patel, CEO of Sipping Group, CEO of Flash Group. So we are a full ecosystem of, and I don't like the word DeFi. We always say we are doing what DeFi does and beyond. Because our ecosystem has some of the things you see behind me with crypto stations, with the all-in-one smart card, with a wallet. We have our own exchange. We are a financial institution, all licensed. And we have our own trading platform. We have our own network of consumers or buyers with affiliate marketing structure as well. So that's what we do. But let's talk DeFi, okay? So in terms of DeFi, let me share something with you guys. Can you see the screen, guys?
Yes.
Okay. So on the right-hand side, so I've been following this for the last, I guess, about 7 months, okay? And then went into investing as well about September, I think it was. No, August, July or August, something like that, July or August. But I've been monitoring some of the big DeFi projects in various ways. So from what kind of category it is, through to the price, their all-time highs, market caps, and things along those lines. Okay, so main criteria of what I call the top 50 or so DeFi projects. I do this for crypto. I do this for all the staking types of projects as well, etc. Okay, so if you look at here, we have so many, and to kick this off, what I would say is, if anyone's going new into DeFi, be very, very careful, because a majority of these have either been dumped by more than 90% or they've gone by the wayside. What I mean by that, a lot of people who've come into the DeFi space starting October to December, what we've seen is, like typical companies during the ICO days, that they were not business savvy. They had good technical solution, maybe. Majority were doing some form of staking based on either loans or infrastructure or some sort of an exchange or some form of an asset or just predictive stuff based on what Jabir is saying, and we'll get into that as well. And they didn't know the business side. They didn't know how to handle exchanges. They didn't know how to do liquidity. They didn't know how to do anything on how to make it a sustainable business. Hence why we are where we are. So since December, a lot of these have gone down or lost, or a lot of these have, I guess, started to build up, like the sushis of the world, the Uniswap of the world. They've started growing now a little bit again and regaining ground. However, they are not by all means on their all-time highs like what we're seeing with Bitcoin. And just to finish off my view, so there is some correlation on trading strategies. So, we also have our own bot that we are developing with all the stuff that Jabir mentioned, but also with machine learning, deep learning, and a lot of stuff to do with predictive analysis as well. So based on that, there are some correlations between DeFi and crypto. However, DeFi, in my view, and I'll open it up to the ground, what I find is where people label themselves as just a pure DeFi play, put it on a Uniswap or Sushi or wherever they decide to put their token on, and they don't see much behind it, i.e. proper companies, proper CEOs, CTOs, marketing, cash flow, liquidity, then these are the ones to watch, not to get into. And those have very little correlation. And I would say, and stick my neck out to say, probably 90% of those are pump and dump kind of situations. With that, let's see what's our view from the floor. I know Fernando's had similar experiences. Fernando, let's hear your view on some of these things. I can stop the screen share as well.
Yeah, look, I totally agree with a lot of what you said, and I would add more to that. Up until now, it's exactly what you said, and I think what we're going to see, there's a lot of projects being cooked at the moment, yeah. And watch out what's going to come out from Switzerland, by the way, okay? There's a lot of cool stuff being built there at the moment as well. They are going to tackle the real use cases, you know, because most of it is like you said, Muru, we know what it is. Let's not repeat. We talked so many times about it already. And one of the key things that we need to remember is that before anything starts to happen, it doesn't matter which ecosystem it is, you need to have infrastructure in place. And a lot of these projects kind of are creating a sort of infrastructure. Look at Chainlink, for example, yeah? Chainlink is going to enable a lot of the real DeFi use, what I call it real, I'm talking about real use cases, yeah, of finance that you see in the real world, you know. They're going to enable to bridge the gap between smart contracts and data, you know, to enable a lot of the integration with other platforms as well. Yeah. So I think that we are at a stage that some of the infrastructure is already in place. Yeah. There's more to be built. There's definitely gaps in the market, you know, in terms of infrastructure. It looks like Uniswap has taken its place, you know, so there's a decentralized. I know there's a lot of discussions about the fees, and let's leave that to one side, you know, but someone took that space. Yeah.
Very high.
Yeah. So, you know, we are finding the people that are taking the space in terms of the infrastructure for DeFi then to be able to grow really, really fast. Because if we think that in crypto, we are still in Bitcoin, we still in the initial phase of adoption, you can start to imagine where we are in DeFi, right? You know, we're well behind the initial stage of adoption. We really are, yeah? But having said that, a lot of the things that have been created already in the past 3-4 years, yeah? And I think from this year onwards, we will see a much faster acceleration in DeFi. You'll start to see, and this is one of the things that Nimbus is doing, is creating marketplace for DeFi apps, you know, for decentralized apps and pools, and bring your own pools, and you know, that sort of, think about an Amazon of the apps. You know, that's pretty much what Nimbus is trying to create at the moment. Yeah, and you'll start to see. I believe at the end of the first quarter, I'm talking about towards the end of February, a massive acceleration of adoption. Why? You know, there's a big thing at the moment around crypto, yeah? And while there's a lot of volatility and high growth on Bitcoin and Ethereum, there's going to be, and you've seen already, some of these DeFi projects, some of the tokens actually going up tremendously, you know? You're going to see one or the other doing really well, yeah? But it's not going to be everyone. But in general, start to see the alt market and the DeFi projects start to get a little bit of attraction in terms of growth of their assets, yeah? But there's also coronavirus, okay? All the vaccines, all of that stuff. There's a lot of uncertainties at the moment as well, yeah? The markets, think about all the markets and instability. A lot of people trying to figure out, do I stay where I am? Do I do gold? Do I move to crypto? Do I go to DeFi? They'll start to find these gaps, and slowly it's gonna take a month at least for people in the beginning of the year, trying to totally define their strategies, you know, because they remember December has changed a lot because of the high growth in crypto. Yeah. So there's a lot of people redefining their strategies for 2021 at the moment. It's going to take this month for people to redefine, but then the Chinese year kicks in February. Yeah. And they are a big catalyst. Either we want it or not, you know, people have different views about China at the moment, but they are one of the biggest catalysts, okay? And everything stops during the Chinese year, okay? Simple. Now, history has shown us that in terms of this space, you know. Stops, I mean, you know, you don't see a lot of growth, but you see stuff going, you know. Now, the big change, yeah, and I can see Maru is already nervous. He wants me to shut up. So the big change. I think the big change here is the US market, you know, is figuring out and finding a way to navigate around crypto, and we just don't know where the regulations are going. Yeah, and I know Maru wants to talk about regulations. You know, I know he does.
No, I love that, right?
Yeah. So. It depends really a lot on that. If the regulations are not too tight, then during that month you could see a lot of American companies actually come into that market, you know, and trying to grab a bit before the Chinese come back from the Chinese year. It's going to be interesting you know, to see where we're going.
Okay, thanks for that, Fernando. So let's take it on from that and have a little debate with our man George. If he can mute himself, George.
Just let me show something, and I will. George, let me show something, just please.
Oh, Sergey, as usual, wants to show a video.
Yes, guys.
Oh no, okay.
I wanna take your attention here. What we see, yes, that all the markets are all-time high, as Bitcoin, as Ethereum as well. We see the same story with lending. We see the same story with DEXs, derivatives, payments, and not so interesting story with assets, which already shown our Maru. Maru, just let me know from where all this money coming and what I didn't expect. If not assets, if not business, where does this money go? For me, is very interesting. Is this fake? Is this, I don't know, show that so many monies we have and don't know what's happening with them or what we'll do with them?
Okay, so let me answer that, and I'll bring George into it as well.
Okay, yes, I'm sorry for interviewing.
Not a problem, not a problem. So where is the money coming from? And something Fernando touched, which will be a hook for George and I to debate, I think would be nice. So the money, in my view, with this hype of Bitcoin, approaching Bitcoin's the birthday and anniversary, which happened a couple of days ago, whatever, the all-time highs was passed after 2 and a bit years of, you know, the 20,000, which broke in December. What happened was it had a 10+ year history, 12 years to be precise, to say, hang on, now this thing is real. So what happened was the retail people were bombing in, coming in, okay? And I've seen this in the .com, and I'll bring a hook to that as well. And then what I see from all the whale trading and whale tracing charts that I look at as well, is you get huge injections from huge hedge funds, banks, institutions with hundreds of millions coming in. So that answers your question. When hundreds of millions of the people who used to say Bitcoin is a scam, Bitcoin is a pyramid, it's an MLM, Bitcoin is this, Bitcoin is that, will never happen. How can you put money on something electronic? All those naysayers, Jamie Dimon included, was buying in the background and building their own portfolios. And now in the 2 years, it's all open. Him and, you know, Goldman Sachs, you name it. All the big boys are in it, albeit quietly. So they control it as whales. So you have institution whales, then you have your private whales, people who have created private investment funds. And some of these are what I call ghost investment funds. So you don't know who the owners are to be unanimous. And that's why the SEC is now taking this matter forward with using Ripple, unfortunately, as the target, because they're saying, hang on, you guys flushed out 400 million between the founders. What is happening? Is it a security? Is it a utility? Is it a currency? Is it this? Is it that? So Bitcoin is now lumbered with that baggage, for want of better words, as a store of value, but it's also becoming a mainstay currency because you have financial institutions already in it now. And SEC now, and Fernando also mentioned or touched on it. I think SEC will come down very heavy, especially on DeFi projects. So what you will see now is most of the people will say, you know what? Screw America. We're not going to list for American investors. The world is big enough. So what I see is this Cold War between China and America. And in that Cold War of the digital age, majority of the company, if you look at the Ripple's case, majority of countries, Japan, UK, all these other countries, Singapore, you name it, have already said Ripple is a currency, not a security. So DeFi, where does that fall? So SEC, in their wisdom of trying to protect it without any rules, are going to come down even heavier on DeFi projects. So the money will come from outside America unless you are an approved institution. With that, now let's look at George's view on, because you look at the Uniswap, the Huawei's, and the Yearn Finance, the earlier guys, and Chainlink that Fernando mentioned, and a few others like that. These are going to now, the cream will rise. It's like what we saw in the .com days. 90% went by the wayside. I was there at Sun Microsystems. Do I know it really, really well from inside? So the cream is rising at the top. DeFi as a concept, as a movement, I think is overdressed, but it's fantastic. I mean, the world needs to have a decentralized finance, especially with what's happening in governments and printing money left, right, and center. What Fernando was saying as well with COVID, now people are printing money left, right, and center, and countries are losing faith on their government's currency, especially the fiat currencies like the dollar. So I see that coming down in value over time. In the next 5-10 years, China will really, unfortunately, whether we like it or not, take the mainstay and probably even become the #1 economy in the world in the 10 years that I've always been saying, So George, let's hear your global view on where you see DeFi going in the future. But more importantly, George, try and see if
my global view is
DeFi and DeFi. Where do you see that going, merging? Because there needs to be a balance.
Can I put in a comment here before George goes into DeFi, backing up what Moore is saying over here, where the money is coming from? One of the things that has happened is for the fund managers, they were investing in Bitcoins and crypto on the side, but they were not doing the funds because there was a career risk that if they bought Bitcoin and Bitcoin, nosedives, they'll say, look, what an idiot this guy was, right? He told us to put in Bitcoin and this is what happened. So that career risk has gone now because all the institutions are coming, right? And now they are taking the risk now to put into Bitcoin because that career risk is no more anymore because everybody's getting into it. So that was one of the other things that was playing into this thing when they were holding back, not investing in cryptos. So I just wanted to bring George over to you.
I let George speak now because poor George, he's been trying to get in. But I want to add then at the end, George.
No.
It's okay. Then I'll add very quick.
What happened to Maru?
I do it very quickly.
Somebody hacked into his Zoom or something.
Yeah. So
he'll be back.
Very quickly is that where the money comes from, it's exactly what both of you said, but there's one more thing. Okay, let's be more specific. If you think about who are the crypto hodlers, you can figure out, before 2015, 16, plenty of it was mined. Plenty. I'm talking about millions of it was mined. So there's big, large whales that are just the normal Joe. You don't even know that they probably have 50, 80, 100,000 Bitcoins. Yeah. Okay. So some of them, even not the large hodlers, what they've and happens with everyone. Yeah, they set up a target. When Bitcoin reaches 30,000, 34,000, or whatever, I'm going to check out some of my. So you take the profits. Some of these funds that started to put some money in Bitcoin when it was at 10,000, 9,000, 10,000, which was back in October. Yeah, it was just 3 months ago, 2-3 months ago. Yeah. Some of these funds that were putting money on Bitcoin, they're gonna have at some, and because that's what they do, they get the profits out. Yeah. So what you see is all of these new people coming in. There's a recycle there. Yeah. These guys getting out. The hodlers that decided to take the profits as well. Guess where they're gonna put the money? In DeFi. Yeah. In all of these other places. Yeah. That you mentioned. So but the money comes all from institutional. Yeah, it's just then I don't think there's many institutional. I actually truly believe in this. There's not much institutional money still coming to DeFi. Yeah, this is just a recycling part. As people check out of some of their Bitcoin and taking the profits, they're not going to stay with those funds. They're going to put it somewhere. Sorry, George. I just want to have this. Yeah.
Sorry, I got disconnected. I'm back
Yes.
on.
Okay, go ahead, George.
I guess
It's Valencia. It's
throttling.
Valencia.
Maybe somebody hacked into
No,
Maria's
it's
account.
yeah, whatever.
No worries. I do believe there's several things that are as important. One is that Bitcoin has matured and has now been acceptable by institutional investors as kind of a store of value and as an edge against inflation. DeFi is not trying to play in the same space. DeFi is about adding value, and this adding value comes from the dApps. It comes from innovative financial assets that are either synthetic in nature or associated with physical assets, which means the next wave of successful DeFi projects are the ones that are going to be able to successfully tie digital assets with physical ones, whether this happens to be gold, oil, real estate, diamonds. It does not really matter too much. A stable asset. And if that gets done in the correct way, that is going to be the next DeFi unicorn on the market.
Absolutely agree, George. So yeah, I mean, gosh, I think it was 3 years ago, I spoke at an event with Tim Draper. Some of you have seen the picture of me giving Tim my coin. And I said, what's this ICO nonsense? I mean, I don't buy this ICO movement. I believe, because I came from a real estate investment background, I believe in something I can look, feel, see, touch. So to echo what George was saying, absolutely agree. It needs to be asset pegged or asset backed. And that is the way. And that's why we've got a gold pegged coin of our own, and even of a pooled programs that we do with our staking rewards for DeFi based reward staking. It is backed, the coin is backed with gold, and real life use case scenario here, as well as the master nodes we put in a pool, which is an asset in a pool. So the community own the master node and get the rewards on it. And there's a share of profit. And they get majority of it. We keep only 25%, right? So in terms of where it's going, when people build those sorts of infrastructure, I think that's when this whole decentralized finance, and I think there's an element of centralized finance that'll come into it as well. Something Fernando mentioned as dApps as well, and people who do dApps on it. So storage is so key. Just now, AWS and people like that are killing it. They are really making a fortune. And those of us who have big capacities on these platforms is killing it. So decentralized storage, which has been going on for ages through IPFS type of technologies, is the next big thing that will move. And then it's just a question of putting your dApps accordingly on the net as a decentralized storage facility, be it Filecoin or whoever. And these companies are already doing that. So it's a decentralized finance, decentralized storage, decentralized of your applications for the dApps, and the data, which just now I've got a huge study going on, is key. Us, the product, our data is very, very key, and it's being sold to various people based on who you are, where you live, la la la, and people want to hack it. So even that identity now, in a decentralized manner, encrypted, where you have your private keys, is also being incorporated in some of the newer projects.
Shall we talk about some of the challenges as well, Maru?
Yeah. That's what I was going to.
I want
to get into the challenge with Jabir. Actually.
I wanted to do this so that because we've been talking a lot about this, like, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes, almost the same thing, but one of the big challenges I see, and maybe I think each one of us could give it 2 or 3 minutes, and then we move, I think, to maybe regulations. Sorry to drive this, but
no, I don't want to.
We have 20 minutes left. I know we get excited. We get excited, all of us, right? Yes. But one of the biggest challenges I see, and I'm sure you all agree on this, and maybe you expand a little bit, maybe how we could solve this problem, is about resources, okay? There's not enough people that understands DeFi. It's absolutely a critical problem at the moment,
No, of course it is, but that problem's been there for most new tech, in crypto, in any fintech solution.
Yeah, but the crypto
that's why you have all these what I call photo prostitutes who say I'm the expert, and people give them a lot of money on it. So that's been there for the last 4 years anyway. That's why you had during even pre-ICO days.
So Maru, I disagree a little bit with you on this, because in terms of blockchain, there was a lot of training, there was a lot of building on people, so people understand blockchain. Okay, there's a lot of more resources on blockchain. Even the big players already have. Doesn't matter, Microsoft, Google,
12 years old,
and so on.
I would argue it's 25 years old.
Yes, so I think that it has sort of solved a little bit the problem. We need to build more, but there's a lot of knowledge on blockchain at the moment in terms of talking about technical ability to do it. Yeah, but in DeFi, it's totally different. If you know about blockchain, it's another big step for you to understand in terms of implementing not just the smart contracts, but integration of those smart contracts and making pools available for people to stake their crypto. Those pools, then they have to integrate with APIs that are the ones who actually are the real use cases. Can you see, this is a huge gap in terms of knowledge that there is at the moment in blockchain. Yeah. And DeFi.
You said it yourself. It's early stages. We are at the early stages.
How can we solve this problem? Because that is what's
I don't think you can. There will always be limited amount of people, just like how blockchain and the Bitcoins and all of these things started, and then you got forks coming. The more people will learn, the more people will evolve. And I think George and me, we've already said that. The challenge is getting business people with real acumen to say it needs to be pegged with. That's when people will take it seriously. The specialists to do the tokenization and the asset pegging, the yield farming, all of these other subsidiary things.
So here's what I think.
Number of people.
Here's what I think. You can't drive business and have growth of business if you don't have people to actually sort out the actual product itself.
We have that same problem, by the way.
So in terms of growth of the DeFi space, what people are projecting is going to be all of this. What we see is a lot of money flowing to the same company. So you're going to see, a small number of companies grow in market size, market cap tremendously, because a lot of people want to invest. So there is a problem here, and you're right. I don't disagree with you, Maru, but I know that George has had some experience of this in the past, because George and I had a conversation about the resources and blockchain a while back. So what's your view, George? What do you think? How could we try to accelerate this that goes at the same pace as Muru said, of businesses, sorting out strategy and understand what to do and all the money coming in. How can we do this, George?
No, there's
What do
also
you
an
think?
education program required. And I think there are some, and I've seen some
I was asking George.
university. So we should look at that as well, George. George advises on this as well.
So
Yeah.
I believe DeFi, the way blockchain was 10, 12 years ago, is a major innovation approach. We're still in day or year one, so you can call it this as DeFi 1.0. DeFi 2.0, 3.0 is coming, and we will see massive changes and evolution in the types of dApps that have been created. Of course, this requires two elements that are extremely important. One is the stack itself. That means the stack has to build on more mature DeFi APIs. The second thing that DeFi is very short on is on the usability factor. Most of the DeFi applications that we have in place today are completely out of reach of the average user. The average user has gotten over the basic wallet and trading BTC. When it comes to DeFi, it's way over their head. So DeFi has to lower the bar of user acceptance. If DeFi is able to achieve that by creating more friendly applications, more usable, then DeFi is going to get much better market acceptance than it's getting today. And
But
it's only the beginning.
I think the question from Fernando was, how do we address this resource issue?
The resource issue is primarily, I don't think it is an issue because we have plenty of resources available. It's just that the resources flow to the path of least resistance. So if the mechanisms are in place to allow these resources to deliver results, don't worry, the resources will come. Not worried about resources at all.
Jabir, right. So as dare I say it, a newbie who wants to enter into the DeFi space, your background is very much with, as you said, kind of like learning, background history, and then doing predictive kind of analysis and putting some, I don't know, I mean, we're doing bots, for example. But is that where you are looking at this whole thing for the DeFi space? Because you started by saying, where money's come, how it's gone from trading fish and chicken and eggs to printed money to gold to now digital currencies. Where do you see the DeFi world?
I mean, I'm very new to DeFi. I mean, I'm coming in to understand DeFi from my own personal thing, from investment purpose and making. But from understanding from your conversation, especially when you said before DeFi thing, the technology is there. The business side is not mature, as you said. People are coming in, like you mentioned about a lot of DeFi coming in, 90% have gone by the wayside. The business model is not right. So for any business to be successful, right, basically, if you really look at the thing, let's say there are 100 variables over there. All those 100 variables have to connect together for that business to be successful. Even one variable is not in sync, the business doesn't become successful, okay? And it is very much, I mean, one thing what we have is an S-curve, all right, in innovation. So what I see, as George mentioned and Fernando mentioned, that DeFi is just beginning. So, basically you have the conception of the idea. You have the infancy, then you got the infancy, then you got the, growth, and that is going to come later. So at the moment, DeFi is very much, from my perspective,
like a baby. Just now it's
like a baby. Yeah, it's just, it's just, the idea has just been conceived, right? And has been given birth. You can't expect, as Fernando saw, that there are not many people who understand this thing or technology. That will take time, as George said, DeFi 1, DeFi 2, DeFi 3.
That's how I see it. The baby's got to grow, and we in the community need to teach people basic fundamentals, like the foundation when you teach the baby, because
absolutely.
don't expect 50,000 DeFi developers to be real experts tomorrow.
But the other thing I would add, what Fernando said over here, is I think the whole DeFi community and the crypto community is coming very much from the technology end.
Correct.
Right? Not coming from the customer perspective.
Correct.
Right?
Absolutely.
So that's the turn. That's the 180-degree turn you have to make. That how to what does a customer want? What are the main parameters of value that a customer is looking in DeFi? Right?
Absolutely.
What are the pain points? What are the needs? What are the wants? Understand from them. That is what you want, and that the technologists have to speak that language so it becomes easier for them to understand and grasp it.
Yeah.
Right? At the moment, the message and the information is going from the technology people to the customers, and customers saying is going over their head.
99.999%, I would say. And
Exactly.
Joe pointed it out. I've pointed it out over the years, even in the crypto space.
Absolutely. And
when you have to put long addresses for sending people wallet monies and all that. So we are culprits in the business, not making it easy because the technicians are the ones doing it. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
And that's wrong. Not fully agree. I see another person over here, Shiraz Valji.
Yeah, he's my cousin, so I brought him in so for him to understand all this kind of stuff, right?
He's on a learning.
Yeah, I mean, I thought this was a cipher. It was I didn't understand it was a talk like this. I was at the doctors and I saw this thing and I said, oh, okay. It's for the community, and George will be speaking, you'll be speaking, but I got mixed up on that.
Sergey, how are you about time?
Another level here.
How are we about time, Sergey?
It's okay. We have at least,
40 minutes. At least 90 minutes if Sergey carries on. Or
okay.
George starts his after party. Today he's not in an after party, so that's great news.
If I was in Dubai, it would be double the time.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Do you know why we have to be a lot of time? It's because
it's after party. George arrives at 8 o'clock and it goes until 8:45.
You know why it has to be 1 hour and a half? Because you take 1 hour, bro.
Okay, guys. You know what I see? What I got from your discussion? I see for me. I have find for me very interesting insight, but let me talk to you. Am I got it right? What you say that if we people around somehow being tokenized or bringing assets, liquidity assets to DeFi market, we are making some baking that assets, not as money, as for example, as cars, as real estate, as gold, as silver, or something else. And this is bring to all this market, to DeFi market, new instruments to trade in, to compensate with, to looking around. But my next step is in that space, we are going on the same, on the same fields which are already arises in real market, in fiat market. We are going to the trading, we are going to speculating, we are going to change that market. What we should do in that perspective. We are trying to make it not centralized, in decentralized way, or making that history happens once more time. What do you think about that?
I go first then on this. I quite like what you said. So we have to think here that what is happening in DeFi at the moment is really forget a little bit about the assets, the real assets, like you're saying. We're looking at this decentralizing all of those pain points at the moment that is required for you to get access to finance somehow, or for you to have control of your own money. So that is the first part where we're tackling, and we haven't finished yet. So there's still a lot to be done in that space. DeFi bank, we need to create more DeFi banks. There isn't enough, okay? I think there's probably one that I know of, real DeFi bank, okay? Insurance, you name it, all of these stuff that exists, they are not real tangible assets like a car or gold, but this is the centralized finance you have at the moment. How you use that to have access to something physical is a different thing. So we have to differentiate those two things. So the first one is all of that centralized finance that we have at the moment, and we need to do that, and it's happening at the moment. Okay. From the two sides, I have my crypto. I put my crypto in a pool. I'm in control. It's my wallet. Yeah. Nobody's managing my money. The second bit is, all of those facilitators, yeah, which are the dApps, being for loans, property, you name it. There's so much to do in property still, okay? I spotted a gap recently in the market that nobody has, by the way, okay?
So many property assets.
Yeah, it's a very big one, this one, Maru. Yeah, so
a few property tokens.
It's my next project if nobody picks it up.
So, I mean, so then it's a very tough market, trust me.
Yeah, I know. I know you have a lot of experience there.
Like 5 years ago, I started doing that.
Yeah.
Bloody tough.
So
I think the point you're making, there's too many middle people, and that's the value add.
So that is the first
that's
stage.
What people need to crack.
That's the first stage that we're crunching up and so on. And in the middle of doing all that, so we started with the infrastructure. Yeah. There's quite a bit of it. There needs to be more because we don't want just create big giants that control everything. So proper decentralized, more of them need to. I mean, I encourage everyone to come up, even if there is already a hub. Just go for it because you can't have one. Yeah, you need to have more to be able to be totally decentralized. Otherwise, there's one here that is not controlling, but you know what I mean, is the main player on a specific area, and that's not good either, even if being decentralized. So then the third stage, yeah, it's going to be the connection to the physical assets, like Maru was saying. Yeah, so of course during this process, there's already people doing it. Either doing it with gold or something else, and that's great. They should appear when is the right time to appear. Yeah, and it's going to vary. There's good time to do it, maybe with gold now. Yeah, maybe. There's a different views. You should do it now or not, but I think it should be done now. Yeah. So and then slowly is going to be. There's a great.
Happening. I don't know what you're talking about. The gold-backed stuff. And the gold stuff, there are quite a few people. We've got it for 2 years.
I'm talking about something more about gold, not just that.
The asset-backed stuff or asset-pegged stuff has been going on for ages. The problem with all of those is licensing is the obvious one. And there are a lot of countries, if you're doing an asset-backed thing, like real estate, the governments, the licensing, the land registry, the architects, the surveyors, lawyers, all these stakeholders cannot communicate, the builders, the suppliers for all the supply chain of putting iron to bricks to whatever is not connected. So that's too big. So the easy picking is take one building and tokenizing, and people do it through a simple asset or even NFTs. So that is the next big wave that is coming for those sorts of tokenized assets through NFTs as well.
What I got from Fernando's talk, I see that for adoption, we have to have a little bit time for adopt it somehow, to understand it right. Because when we are, going to market for ICOs, people treat it, wow, it's Airtable money. We can get it from nothing. Just to, put your idea in some paper and you got the money. That's it. But it's not being prepared in that way.
Exactly. And that's what's happened with DeFi. As we said, a lot of people have just gone in blind because it's a fashionable thing with all sorts of promises of 1x to 1000x. And they saw one or two examples like Yearn Finance or something go into the thousands of %. They think everyone's going to be the same. It's not reality, right? So,
so at the moment,
like a baby worth $1 million from day one. It's not going to happen.
So just to finish what I was saying, then it's exactly like you said, Sergey, and there are stages here, and George and Jabir also said that and it is really about the innovation and the S-curve process. We are really, really at the beginning, but it's essential to to tackle the things right in the beginning so that you can have then an accelerated growth, because otherwise the S curve is going to be really long, you know. It's not going to be like that. So, and Jabir knows a lot about this for sure, you know. So one of the critical things, and I come back to the resources, yeah, because I face that problem today. I cannot find resources that really understand DeFi. I had access to people who understand smart contracts. Even the people who have access to smart contracts, they don't get DeFi. Yeah, they just don't. They are just technical guys. I'm talking about technical resources. So the way to tackle this problem for me is, you know, needs to start to have a lot of training at the moment, you know, training, build these people. There's enough people with blockchain knowledge, attract them. There's enough money, enough ideas already out there, and trying to bring these people in that process. And because there is all of that money flowing in, it's easy to attract these people. But, you know, I'm not, I come up with innovation, yeah, but I'm not an expert from a business side on innovation. That would be quite interesting to understand what Jabir has to say about this. Jabir, do you mind? Oh, it's frozen.
Yes,
Fernando, I think you're going around the circles on this, on how do we get resources, and you've answered it yourself. We are all doing that. Yeah. We are training people because it's like a baby. You have to train that resource. You will not find many people who understand how to do this. It's like, you know, you can't.
I talk about the innovation process, which is,
but even innovation comes from entrepreneurs, and then you got to train the technical people with the knowledge they have to say, look, I don't want to give the example we're doing, but we've got a classic example of a very innovative product which doesn't exist out there. So what do? You say, what are the skill set required based on this? And you list all the skill set, and then you find people with that, and you won't find it in one person. So you have to get 2 or 3 people and train them as a team. That's like normal. You know,
I was thinking, I was talking more from the perspective where you get to the stage where you are tackling the real use case in finance, and then the third stage, which will be to go after the physical assets. You know, there's already a company that I really like. It's not just about the real estate. There's a company, I think there's a project called DMM, I think, and what they do is they provide loans for people who want to buy a car. Yeah. Or the other way around, you provide your car as collateral to get some crypto, you know. So they already have online. They do it with the license agency in the US, in one of the states in the US. You submit your license of your car, of ownership, title of ownership, and it actually.
But that's not innovative. That's been happening for 2 years in America. I know 3 companies doing that.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just giving you an
example. Even rentals.
Maro, I'm talking about some of the companies that already exist doing that, that are already on the third stage. So what I'm saying is there are companies appearing at all the different levels, but the main level that we should tackle, which is really decentralized finance, is what we know, that are the banks, the insurance company, you know, all of these financial services that they need to decentralize before all of that can be enabled. Yeah, that's what I'm coming from.
I think we need to learn to walk before we run.
Of course, I agree with you.
The banks.
Well, there's someone in Turkey creating a bank. Okay,
you know, guys,
a decentralized bank. Yeah.
What I see, we have to have patience into us to evangelize, to talking about that, to educate people, to let them know all about this instruction. Because when, for example, people's got these phones in our hands, I'm talking about computerization. Computers, they all, each one of them have the instruments to do something. One of them using this as television, another one using as camera, third people using as calling for 2-1, and that's all instruments combining in one place. That's why all the people around the globe want to use this, buying this for, I don't know, for treating or for making the instruments or the troubles become via this device. And now we have to find that ways where that DeFi instruments help them to use their problems or to make their problems happen or to make the problems happen in another way. And it's the point of starting people engaging, attracting, trying to say, wow, here you can solve your issue. And I think we have to find that issues to the humanity and bring them to the table and say, please come here, use it. You can use it in much more better way than in real world, than in fight world, than in not, I don't know, in not fair world. In my point of view, it's only way to do that.
There's one point that I want to add that I think is important that maybe assists the point that Fernando was to make. There is knowledge about how to program in the language of DeFi. There is knowledge about blockchain. However, there's not enough innovation, or there is not enough knowledge about the concepts and the capabilities of DeFi. So people are very good at copying what somebody else has done. However, it is very difficult to take DeFi as a concept and innovate new ideas behind it. Are we in the early days of this innovation? I believe so. Is the better ideas still to come? Yes. And I think what we have seen today in DeFi is just the tip of the iceberg. Now, where are these innovations going to come from? Are they going to come from insurance? Are they going to come from health tech? Are they going to come from derivatives? Are they going to come from wrappers that take asset classes and group them into different ones? Are they going to come from a mixture of DeFi combined with AI? Nobody seems to talk about that, but I believe that a lot of innovation still needs to happen on the ground. And the first ones to market with that innovation are the ones that are going to create the next DeFi.
Yep, fully agree, fully agree. And coming back to the point, of that innovation comes from entrepreneurs. The vision comes from that. As I said, we're putting something together like that and having to train 3 or 4 people with AI, ML, deep learning, NLP, all these technologies. You won't find one person with all of those together. So whatever the vision we have, the visionaries, the entrepreneurs, yes, they can put it. And, some of us have that technical skills, but we don't have that programming skills. We lost it 30 years ago, right? With the new technologies, what's happening, that's the training and transition we've got to help when the business visionaries have to work hand in hand with the technicians to say, but I want this to look like this. I want to make it so simple for people so that they can trade and make money in a certain way without having the pain of going on to multiple exchanges and looking at the buy-sell rates and the pips up and down, and how can they get the best rate? How can they arbitrage between the two? For example, things like that, making it so simple. So that side of decentralized finance, earning, all that is new. And fully agree, we have to train people, otherwise it's not going to happen. Can we go on to something to close to say, where do we see DeFi in terms of market cap, in terms of pricing for the top tier people, in terms of the established chain links, Uniswaps, Huawei's, Yearns, all these people? Where do we guys see that going? Do we have faith in it, or do we see another unicorn coming in and taking over all of these? Georgie?
Mike, please, George.
Sir?
I believe, I'm mute. Yes, I did. Patience, it's the time delay. I do believe that the key innovation in DeFi is still to come. I think the concepts that DeFi brought, by the way, we're talking DeFi as if it is a new thing.
It isn't.
It is not. I mean,
that's why I said DeFi and beyond. We've been doing it for a long time.
DeFi was born with Ethereum. It's just that we had it in our pocket and we did not even realize it. So the capability of DeFi was there even with Ethereum 1.0. And Ethereum has been with us for what, 6 years, 7 years now?
Yeah.
So give or take. So DeFi was with us sleeping for 7 years. It took 6 years to kind of, let's call it DeFi. And all of a sudden it became unique. Now, the people that are going to create this innovation are the ones that are going to be the winners, not the people that just recode and rehash what has been done time and time again. As I mentioned again, the new innovative aspects about DeFi are going to come from the guys that create new asset classes that combine the ones that we have in more innovative ways, that create additional inclusion, that create the capability of adding revenues. And what I mean by adding revenues not just on the static asset, by taking these assets and making use of them to produce other assets.
Exactly.
Bitcoin by itself does not produce anything. It's a bit like gold.
Absolutely.
You store it and you hope it goes up.
Absolutely.
Yes, it goes up as an edge against inflation. But if there is no inflation, Bitcoin would stay where it is.
Or go down.
There is no, or go down. It would just stay there. People will take that money and use it for something more creative. If DeFi does this creative thing, that is where the value is going to come from. And that is what is going to generate the new unicorn.
But do you see the existing ones, the big ones that I named earlier, do you see them taking the market lead and actually becoming unicorns? Or do you see something else come up and leapfrog that above?
No, I believe
I see something else. I'll tell you. I see something else.
Something completely new and different is still yet to come.
Correct.
And it's not there today. Yes.
Fernando?
And I think, and I believe that the key is going to come from the user interface. What do I mean?
Absolutely.
The guys that are going to create the UX that the Mr. on the street
UI UX,
they're the ones that are going to made. So the Microsoft factor, and what I mean by the Microsoft factor or the Apple factor, the guys that focused on usability are the ones that are going to win the market.
Absolutely. The UI UX is so key, we die by it. In fact, my partner, he's so paranoid. Even if you look behind me, the smallest thing needs to be the right color coding and simple and all that. So, screw the technology behind at the moment. If the UI UX is shit, forget it. Absolutely agree with that. So we are in agreement. There's something new out there that would be a unicorn. Fernando, it'd be nice to have your take on where do you see the DeFi space currently going forward from the big ones, as I was asking. So establishing themselves or being overtaken.
So there's going to be a couple that will stay. Just go back to every innovation that has ever happened. There's always some early stages that stay. Cisco stayed. Then internet came, then Microsoft stayed. You can even go back, and then internet, Amazon came, stayed, etc. There's going to be always the ones who are going to stay in the beginning, and they become big monsters. No doubt about that. Then you saw on the internet, it came Facebook. It took place from who? We know. There was another service before, and before that, I can't remember the name.
MySpace.
MySpace. Exactly. Thank you. I'm tired.
Before that, all these guys
before that, there was Lycos that had an incredible ecosystem that did exactly all of that stuff. But going back, I'm talking about what Facebook and MySpace did. Lycos already had that. 1999, 2000. But it goes back to what you guys just said, like George said, the killer, the user interface killer, and make it really easy. Facebook came really easy. iPhone then came with a fantastic user interface. Again, different technology. So it is absolutely that. So there's going then to appear new ones that are going to not take the space, not going to take the space from those guys for sure, because the ones who come in and cement their place in the market, if they are driven properly, good management, good strategies, they will take and they will conquer that space. The ones who are not, they'll disappear, like MySpace. It just disappears. And others, Alta Vista, you name it, all of those disappear, and it will happen the same. So some of the big ones will stay. in terms of market cap, yeah, I think that it's going to depend a lot of things this year, but people are pointing at between 50 and 90 billion. I heard all sorts of numbers, yeah, and it really depends a lot on how the politics around the US are going to move forward with China, what Biden's going to do, you know, how they're going to tackle the coronavirus. All of that is going to give market confidence. If there is no confidence in the markets, yeah, and if this continues, these problems and the printing of money, then DeFi is going to grow very fast because the money will be moved to a lot of these new projects, yeah. Not just because they believe on some of these projects and the real problems they are solving, but because they see as a safe haven for their assets to grow, yeah. Oh yeah, they give 20-30% API. That's where I'm going to put my money. It's a no-brainer, you know. So it depends a lot on the global politics. If all goes well, yeah, and I think Joe Biden is going to try to make things a bit softer with China. We might see some of these coronavirus medicines from AstraZeneca that is not a vaccine to be mainstream, you know, actually therapeutical injections, not vaccines. If that, which I'm sure you know about, then we will change completely, you know. So I want to be conservative here. I would say probably about 50 billion market cap is something that, you know, we will see happen, you know, not more. I really doubt it will happen, that, you know, personal view.
Yeah. No, I mean, everything you've said is absolutely spot on. I think to add to that, and what George said as well, just to wrap up, because it's nearly 1:15, my view is the DeFi space will be driven more from the non-US market rather than the US market, purely because of what SEC has done recently, and purely because of the advance that China already has in technology, and a lot of the other Asian companies already has in the technology, be it DeFi, blockchain, smart contracts, NFTs, you name it. They have that edge already. They've been doing transactions at the micro level. They've been doing finance at the micro level. You can buy cabbage with a mobile phone without middleman. You can loan people end-to-end, peer-to-peer without all those people. For 2 years, they've been doing that. So that's where the edge will come from. That's where the new projects will evolve. You know, I spoke to another Chinese guy yesterday, I think it was, and they're already doing a major project, which, you know, without giving his IP out, which will displace quite a lot of the DeFi projects that I see as well. So, you know, it's innovation is not coming from America. That is for sure. That's how I see it just now. Because over there, they've been stifled and strangled, for one of better words.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that. The only couple of things I would add is it depends on a few things, what I'm going to say, yeah? Which is, we've seen that where most of the money to Bitcoin is coming from at the moment, yeah? It's coming from the US, institutional investors, yeah? Let's be frank, that's where it's coming nowadays. Hold on.
Nothing to do with innovative projects.
Hold on, let me finish, yeah? So, innovative projects, they need at some point have the money coming in, yeah? I mean, there's no other way. You can create something if there's no people putting, you create some fantastic app that allows you to do loans faster than anything else, blah, blah, blah. You need the money to back. And if there's money doesn't come, it's not successful. So what I'm saying is, what we've seen, a lot of the money coming into crypto, into blockchain at the moment is coming from the US. Before that was coming from China, yeah, which was one of the biggest catalysts. So I really think that the money is going to continue to come, but through different vehicles. So they will use a subsidiary somewhere or whatever through UBS in Switzerland, you know.
From other structures outside. No, because it's already happening with structures in Singapore.
Of course, they already have it. So they will use those structures. So the innovation, what's going to happen is you will see a lot of American exodus from Silicon Valley and from New York. Already happened from Silicon Valley to New York, and to other areas of the country. And now I think it's Texas a lot. Yeah, Texas, man.
Austin. That's where.
Yeah, exactly. So, so you will see a lot of the people don't want to miss the boat. They will go away from the US with their idea to another, I don't know, European Union, UK, Dubai. They will find a place to come and start up their DeFi business. They will do it because the innovator, a guy that has that thing inside them, an entrepreneur, it has the blood, and they will not stay, yeah, I'm going to stay here, do nothing. They will go somewhere, So
already happened. I mean, UK is, I think, in my view, very well placed in a way if they know how to execute on the Brexit advantage and become a real.
They need to know how to execute it.
Yeah,
I agree.
If they really know how to do a proper crypto island, hell, let's be honest. They created all these structures around the world in Panama and Malta and everywhere.
They can
these things.
They can suck it all from the US if
the
it's
whole
properly
thing
done.
can come into UK if they know how to just
I agree.
get off their hobby horse. They've got a fantastic opportunity, and all these Gibraltars and Maltas and structured Caribbean islands and Switzerland and all of these could really suffer if UK capitalize on it. I've said it since 3 years when Brexit was happening.
But let's talk about regulators, because the problem is also regulator. There's quite a few companies that run away from the UK, to Switzerland. I know a couple of guys, they moved their companies to Switzerland. I personally know too.
I know.
Yeah, so let's talk about regulators. It's your favorite subject. Yeah, I think we have a few minutes.
We're running out of time though.
Yeah, are we? Okay.
Yeah, but finish off on regulators 1 minute. Go for it.
So I hope that with this new administration in the US, better regulations will come. Okay.
What will you think it will
come? Better regulations will come. I'm very skeptical.
All for that,
I'm very skeptical. I think the first couple of months we're gonna see something coming out that we're probably not gonna like it. Okay. And this could actually, push the US into a different space. But
so you talk about regulations.
There's a lot of regulators around the world that follow closely, because then they want to be part of the US market. And then if the regulator says, well, if you're doing this somewhere else, or, there's a lot of stuff that the US pushes people, around, how it works. So, I would hope the regulator in the UK becomes a bit more flexible. But recently we've seen what the regulator in the UK did, just start of this year, there are certain restrictions of what you can do as a personal investor. I should be able to do whatever I want with my money, right? Yeah. So I think we're gonna see. It's the first quarter of this year. It's gonna be a decisive moment for crypto in general. And so I see a lot of volatility between, I would say, about a third week onwards, third week onwards of January, 25th of January onwards, we can start to see a lot of.
Yeah, I think thank you. I think the volatility will last till March, purely because people are waiting on the SEC ruling, and the whole battle with Ripple will affect most cryptos out there. It's already delisted Ripple, Moneros, Dashes, and all of these other coins of many exchanges in the US. So that's people who are going to take that liquidity out and put it outside the country through different ways or whatever they do. UK, coming back to it, and I've, again, for 3 years been saying they have a classic. If they just become slightly flexible in how they do foreign structures, offshore structures, taxation, incentives, all the things that startups want, the world will land themselves in UK, including the likes of Ripple, who've already threatened to do that. So when you get one of the top 2, 3, 4 major people coming in there, Binance, Krakens coming in there instead of US, they're coming UK because it's a better environment to do it. They'll forget the Estonias, the Zugs, and all that because UK has been known as a financial hub for centuries, right?
Yeah. So one of the things
George?
we need to remember is that regulation drives adoption.
Absolutely.
And the quicker they come up with really good flexible regulations, and I was ecstatic.
You are closing. You've had your 1 minute to 5 minutes.
Yeah. So very
Georgie.
quickly. So I think that the latest announcement in the US, that banks and stable coins announcement, do you remember? It just came. That is brilliant. And I think the banks are going to start now to push for the regulators. It's going to be driven by the banks now to start to push to get a little bit more flexibility because, but that's what I see.
They're all threatened and worried that the greenback will lose value, banks will close. It's already happening. I don't think that's Georgie, what's your view?
Your mic, please.
Dollar,
no, I need to remove the mute.
Your view, George?
The ones that will be more successful are going to be the jurisdictions that are going to be more agile. Correct. Yes, I do believe London has been a center of excellence in the financial sector. However, London has lost a little bit of its air due to many reasons, and many players have escaped.
Be honest.
Yes, exactly. So that has caused some troubles.
No, absolutely.
However, even the smaller players, sometimes they try to be faster, but then they lose steam. And we can have two examples of that. If we look, for example, at Malta or Mauritius, they claim or came very strong in the area of creating sandboxes, creating STO support. But because it was not, the entire infrastructure back-to-back was not there, it fizzled very fast.
Correct.
So the ones that actually will stay behind are the ones that move faster. Now, where do we see that? I do believe that places like Dubai will continue to move very fast and be innovative. Places like Bahrain. And I think other jurisdictions, even smaller ones like Liechtenstein and Estonia, will also continue to lead because of their flexibility and their digitalization being extremely high. Now, where is the biggest innovations going to come from? From the emerging markets. And emerging markets are in the big places. Africa, where we have 1 billion citizens coming up. We have India. Let's not forget about India. India is always drowning in politics, but there is a lot of creativity.
When I say Asia, I count India into Asia. Yeah.
Correct. So there's a lot of innovation potential in areas like Pakistan, India, simply because of their market sizes. So this is the markets that we have to look with for innovation and market acceptance as well.
No, absolutely agree. And, just to close, if you just think, that's why I said America has its days numbered. If they don't play a fair bat in this SEC way of approach to DeFi and other currencies and tokens, and whether it's a security token or a stable coin, all of these, if they don't play a fair bat, that game will go to Asia. Asia has more than 3 billion people at its fingertips. America has 300 million, albeit big ones, but in the space of 5 years, this could change. So the game is very tough, and Fernando, we've all said it. Next 3-4 months, new administration, new Brexit, new this, new that, is a trying time for the world in our space as well, where it will move to.
Yeah, remember
to close or whatever.
Yeah, just to remember one thing. Yeah, the SEC is still going after the ICOs and early cryptos. So they still have to go through all the ICOs first before they come to DeFi. The regulator in the EU only now starting to look at DeFi. It's going to take at least 2 years to actually come up with something sensible.
And they need money now. Save them printing money. So they're gonna go for these people to try and get some money. It's all about. Settled out of court, la. Anyway, Sergey.
Guys. Yes, thank you. Guys, you had gave me a tip of the next topic. about regulation to inviting more lawyers, maybe advocates here, which are being in crypto space much more informative about how do we go and regulate much more better, because you already done that. And finalizing today's event, I wanted to remind what DTV is and for. It's the place and arena for innovative ideas, talking about, spreading, discussing, and showing how to use. Here, ongoing interviews, session, events, discussions, panels, online hackathons, and celebration as New Year we just done. We're designing immersive events where everyone has a chance to be engaged in as speaker, as host, as participant, or as viewer. All the opportunities to be heard and commented if you have something worthy to say. It's new way to interact with each other on this new digital space. This place is borderless consciousness and awareness about cutting edge sphere in our lives. Turn on, tune in, and drop out. Thanks to all of you. My pleasure.
Thank you. See you all, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. My pleasure.
Bye.